Hey everybody, welcome to today's show of RPH Ally Peer Support Show. My name is Eric Speck. I'm the VP of Ethics and Support with RPH Ally. So today I'm coming at you guys with something a little bit different, a little bit more personal, which is hard to believe because I'm always very open with you guys on here trying to give you tips and tricks and a little bit of wisdom and lessons learned from my past. But I want to dive into a specific scenario, a specific situation that happened to me. I did a post about it recently and somebody didn't think it actually happened, but no, it's true. And there's definitely some valuable lessons learned. So I want to talk about what happened and what lessons we can all learn from this right after this. All right, awesome. So what happened? We're going to go back about 11 years, more than 11 years ago. At this time, I was wrapping up my studies in pharmacy school. It was during my year of internships, getting ready to graduate, getting ready to take my board exams, and then continue living my best life ever, right? Well, that's the plan. That was the plan. So what happened? In my internship year is actually when my addiction began. A lot of people hear about my story, kind of what happened later on, and they just assume it happened when I was working as a licensed pharmacist. It actually began before that. When I was an intern, that is where my addiction started. That's where I started diverting narcotics from a pharmacy. And that's where I got addicted and chemically dependent on opioid medications, painkillers. I literally could not function without them. I got to the point where, in order to make it to my rotation, I did need to take painkillers, basically to get out of bed, to think, to function. It was terrible. And leading up to my board exams, I had wanted to quit on my own, and I just couldn't. It's very challenging, as a lot of you may know. You may have heard, right? It's very difficult. Narcotics, especially opiates, are very hard to get off of. So here I am struggling with an opiate addiction. I'm studying for my board exams because it's that time where I'm going to go from an intern to a pharmacist. So I'm studying like crazy, taking painkillers to be able to function. Got my board exam coming up. I don't want to be completely loaded when I take the exam because I may not perform as well. But at the same time, I didn't want to be going through withdrawal because in order to think and function, I had to be taking something. So what I did is I took a little bit to get going, to be able to make it down there and actually take the test. Not as much as I normally would. So anyways, take the exam. And I passed my first time. I did extremely well, by the way. Not proud to say that because I was on opiates at the time, but just proud to say it because, hey, got a good grade. Why shouldn't you be proud about that? So anyways, I finished my board exam and I'm sweating. I'm going through withdrawal. Get back to my car, and of course I was ready, right? Like, of course I'm an addict. Like, we're prepared for this kind of stuff. So I get back to my car, took a bunch of stuff. I don't remember exactly. It was probably Norco, a lot of Norco, probably some muscle relaxants, maybe some benzos, and to make this withdrawal feelings go away, right? Because I was it's like torture going through that. So anything to stop that. Did that. Now I got about a 2-hour drive home. If you ever taken a board exam, a lot of times you have to go to special testing facilities like far away. So mine was about 2 hours away. So anyways, take a bunch of pills, hop on the road to drive 2 hours to go back home. And I remember feeling tired, right? Let's say tired, kind of dozing off. I think I actually had 2 energy drinks that I either bought beforehand or I stopped and got because I could barely stay awake. And I know I'm not driving well. I didn't know how bad it was until I see lights in my rear view mirror. And, oh shit, right? What's going to happen here? I'm clearly under the influence. I have narcotics in the car, and yeah, I'm scared, to say the least. I was shitting my pants. As I get pulled over, then another highway patrol joins this guy. Start talking to me. They're like, hey, we had people calling 911 on their cell phone saying you're swerving off the road, about to cause accidents, and what's going on? So I told them part of the truth. I said, I'm extremely tired. I just took my pharmacy licensing exam. I was up all night studying for it, and I'm exhausted. I'm beat. I must have been falling asleep at the wheel. And I remember the guy asking, he said, well, did you have any drinks afterwards to celebrate, do anything like that? And I was like, no. I literally came straight from the testing facility, right? It's true. And they get me out of the car. They do the whole field sobriety test on me. And I remember at one point, dude was even like, hey, you're falling asleep while we're doing these tests. Like you shouldn't be driving. And I didn't know if I was going to get a DUI. Probably thought I was. Ultimately, what happened, though, is they say, hey, we tell you what, you passed the field sobriety test. I don't know how I passed this test. My eye pupils must have been, pinpoint. I'm slurring my speech, I imagine, but doesn't matter. Somehow I passed. And they were just like, dude, you should be ashamed of yourself. You're so sleepy. You're falling asleep on the road and about to cause an accident. You can't be doing this. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I know. I'm a terrible person, right? What they ended up doing, he goes, there's two of us here. He goes, you're going to hop in my patrol car. I'm going to drive you to a hotel down the street, and my partner is going to drive your truck to the hotel. And we better not see your truck not in that parking lot until tomorrow. You need to get some sleep. And of course, I'm like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. I will totally do that. I have zero objection, right? So that's what happened. I got a lift to a hotel, and they even delivered my truck there, and I slept it off. It got better. Now you may be wondering, well, what was going through my head at this time? Was I like, oh my God, I need to check myself into rehab tomorrow because I almost just lost my pharmacist license before I even got it? Was I thinking, yes, I got away with this. I can get away with anything. The truth is, I really don't know what I was thinking. I don't think I was thinking much. I think I was relieved that I didn't get brought to jail. But at the same time, I didn't have much thoughts or feelings about it. It was just like, okay, well, it feels good that I lucked out and life goes on. No big deal. So the next day I went home and life continued as normal. And for me at that time, it was continuing to take opiates and wanting to not need to take them, trying to taper down, but just failing day after day after day because I wasn't getting the help I need and I was trying to do it all myself. So when I think back on this now, and the advice that I want to give people is, after that incident, why weren't my eyes open to, like I said earlier, holy crap, you almost killed yourself. You almost lost your license before you got it. You almost got put in jail. And it should have been a big wake-up call, right? Oh my gosh, I need to stop. I need to call somebody. I need to tell them the truth about what's going on and get help. Now, if you ever find yourself in a situation like I just described, that's what you should do. Get on the phone right when you get dropped off that hotel and call your freaking mom and spill your guts to your mom or your dad or your friend or whoever and say, I need help. I need help. Here's what's going on, and get the help you need, right? Don't do what I did and just think it was no big deal and try to continue on with your life. Some people I tell this story to, and they say, well, it's more natural to not call and get help because, especially with the brain and addiction, it's almost empowering you to do more. It's like, hey, maybe this addiction isn't that bad. Or if I got away with this, I can get away with anything. And that drives you to continue using and doing things and having close calls and encounters. You kind of feel invincible after a situation like that. Now, like I indicated, I wasn't consciously thinking that, but maybe some part of my subconscious, some part of my brain, maybe that's what it was thinking, was like, hey, like, you got nothing to worry about. Like, dude, you're cool. Like, you're fine. Nothing's wrong in your life. If something was wrong, you would have got arrested, you would have got in trouble, but it didn't happen. So keep doing what you're doing, no big deal. And as I mentioned at the very beginning of this, like, I don't know what I was thinking at this time. I wasn't thinking like, I need to call and check myself in a rehab right away, but I also wasn't thinking like, oh yes, I'm invincible. It was just whatever. And what I've learned throughout recovery, a lot of people know this, you may have heard like addiction's progressive disease. It gets worse and worse over time. And what happens with that too is your consequences get worse and worse over time. So in this case, there were really no consequences. But the way this works for any addict is the more they use, the more consequences they will be, the more severe they will be. I've heard a lot of people say, they're like, yeah, using drugs is, people say it's about drinking too, and alcohol is a drug. Using drugs is, at first it's fun, and then it's fun with some problems, and then it's some fun with lots of problems, and then eventually it's just all problems. And that's how it goes. And for me, this chapter 1, I call it, because this is kind of like the first incident that happened as in my pharmacy career journey. It was that, like, it was fun, and then it was starting to have some problems. And then, believe me, as you'll hear if you know my story, it just got to be no fun and all problems after problem after problem after problem. And I recently heard this saying, or whatever you want to call it. You may have heard it before. It's the whisper, the feather, and then the brick, right? And it's kind of like the way the universe speaks to you. So the whisper is like kind of like a little warning sign. The feather is a little more abrupt warning sign, trying to tell you to do something different. And then eventually, if you don't listen to that, you're going to get the brick, which is, obviously not good. Nobody wants to get hit with a brick. But for me, this was definitely a whisper, a loud whisper. The universe telling me, hey, Eric, you're not on the right path. You're not on the right track. You need to do something different. Something bad's going to happen. Well, I didn't listen to that whisper. I didn't get the message. And I'm going to go on with these chapters here and kind of put all my story in a series for you guys, because I know I've given like bits of pieces in different areas, but I want to have some place where I could line it all up and kind of walk you through this. But as I walk you through my story, you're gonna see maybe some more whispers. You're gonna see some feathers, and then you're gonna see some real bricks. So keep that in mind too as you're going through life. Listen to those whispers. Try to fill those feathers and avoid any bricks. All right, guys, that's all I have for you today. Hope you enjoyed my story. Hope you learn something from it. I definitely hope you don't replicate it. And the reason I'm sharing this is just to help somebody out there. If somebody finds himself in a similar situation, if somebody's currently on that path, whatever it may be, if I can connect with even just one person and help them and change their trajectory, allow them to live a better life, then this will totally be worth it. So let me know if you have any questions. You can drop them in the comments. If you want to reach out to me privately, you can send me a direct message on LinkedIn. It's probably the best place, or you can reach me at rphally@rphally.com. Head on over to the peer support section, and I'd be glad to talk to you more. All right, guys, thanks. Have a good day.